All right. Ooh. Hi. Be cool if there was a countdown like do 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 go. No, not yet. Sorry. Go. No, still not yet. Well, this is weird. Yes, go. Hello. Hi. I'm Maz. I work at the Cabinet Office. I am a tech lead at the Government Digital Service. Try not to mess with the microphone too much. And I'm going to be talking about the dark side of Agile today. But before I talk about that, I have to talk about what I am not. Well, or I have to completely screw up already. Yay! Go! Yes! I'm not the Queen! I might work for Her Majesty's government. I do not represent Her Majesty's opinion on Agile. I have no idea what it is. I'd love to have a chat. So if anyone has any connections, wants to invite me around for a cup of tea, awesome. I also work for Her Majesty's government. Anything I say here today is not what the government is saying about Agile. This is Maz, this is me, hello. I'm talking about this. This is about my experiences and my opinions. So anything you wish to tweet, awesome, just don't say the Queen says it or some shit like that. But also, I learned how to do Photoshop just so I could impose my face on stuff. Now I'm going to impose my face on all the things. Anyway, picture of me as a queen, you're all awake, so hello. Not all of you may be aware of what the Government Digital Service is. It's a new department in the Cabinet Office. Government is huge. I've had to write it down on my notes. Who are we? Yes. We're a unit that got created in response to, this is Martha Lane Fox, a report she wrote in 2010, I think. All those things you can read on the slide, and also basically government, be more awesome and digital. That's me paraphrasing, she didn't say that, but I'm sure she would. Within Government Digital Service, we work on an awful lot of projects. It's quite ambitious. The one I'm going to be talking about is gov.uk. It's a tiny website, you might have heard of it. Not just the single domain for government information. It was also an idea and a proof of concept that you could do Agile in government and be successful. It started back in time in February 2011 as an alpha. This is what it looked like for, if you didn't notice, when they were doing it. It was done in 12 weeks by a cross-disciplinary team of 12 people, 6 of whom were devs, and they built that in 12 weeks from scratch, to everyone saying it's not possible, it's going to take months. Just awesome. There was much rejoicing, people were happy, and they were like, hey, this seems like a good idea, go ahead and do the beta. So they did. And that was in June 2011 till January 2012, so it's about 8 months. Again, a cross-disciplinary team. How many times have I got to say that? 43 people of approximately 10 developers. I was one of those 10. I joined in March. Oh, no, I wasn't. I'm lying. I got confused. Sorry. Next. Good. Beta got done, it was awesome, and everyone was like, yeah, wicked, cool. Then shit got real, and they were like, yeah, build it live, for real. And then I joined, that was it. Seems so long ago now. And so in February 2012, and then we launched in October 2012, so just over 9 months. Again, cross-disciplinary team of about 140 people, of which there were 20 developers, and I was one of them, so I'm not lying now. Good. So that's a very brief history of gov.uk. So I joined. Who did I join? What does that mean to any of you? Naming things is hard. We've been through multiple names. This is what we're called at the moment. If I talk again later this year, we might get called something else. But at the moment, I work on the platform team. And what that means is affectionately known as all the motherfucking things team. When I say affectionately, that's what I like to call it. It is the publishing tools, it's the content API, it's the search tools, a lot of the hard stuff, and we're a teeny tiny team of awesome people. But then I would say that. We're predominantly tasked with taking the architecture from the beta, which was just after they launched when I joined, taking that and going, right, well that was fine as a beta, but for live, for real, nah, we're going to have to change some stuff. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is the experiences I've had while trying to do that across a shared code base with lots of people and craziness. Oh yeah, what am I trying to do? Why am I talking about it for a start? I'm hoping that by me sharing my experiences with you, one, you'll find it interesting, and two, that some of you out there might go, oh yeah, we've had that problem too. Hey Mazz, have you thought of doing this? So if just one of you asks a question at the end, or one of you comes and talks to me at the end of this talk, that's my measurement of success. So I'm here to share and learn from you as well. And just to be clear, I'm discussing Agile because I want to make it better. It might look like I'm having a bit of a moan, but I'm not advocating we go back to waterfall, because that would be horrible. Oh yes, semantics. When I say Agile, what do I actually mean? In GDS, a lot of the terms get bandied around, and it depends on whether you're a developer, project manager, senior person, government person, non-government person, external person. All these words have different meanings. And because I'm up here and I'm talking, and I'm a little bit lazy because I'm a developer, I'm going to keep saying Agile. And what that means is we follow kind of the Scrum methodology, but with our own chaotic twist. So I hope that's clear for everybody. First thing I would like to talk to you about is scaling. As a developer, I understand that scaling is hard. Scaling people, teams and process, I think is even harder, especially when done at high speed, which the growth from beta to live was batshit insane. That is a technical term. You can tweet that, that's fine, I don't mind. The first thing I want to talk about is culture. Culture, I think, is quite easy to do when you're small, when you're a really ickle, tight-knit team. A lot of it, I hate using the word, but obvious. Because you work with all these people, the interactions, it makes sense. You don't have to write any of it down because you know how to behave, because that's how everybody behaves around you. When you get bigger, that's even harder, and suddenly the things that were obvious are now no longer obvious. What do I mean by that? For example, I'm glad you asked, is code reviews. So the way we work on a feature to get branch, you think it's all good, you test pass, yay, let's do a pull request. And then either the tech lead or other people within your team, sometimes people from other teams, will review your code, make some comments, you go, awesome, thanks for taking the time, you improve your code, merge it in, everyone's happy, this sounds awesome. Yes, it does sound awesome, until you get a whole bunch of new people who start typing into a GitHub comment box and forget there's a human being reading that on the other side. Or go, well, I don't agree with some of your approach. And rather than getting off their asses and walking over and having a chat so it's nice and friendly, write like an entire essay. And it's like, dude, seriously, that must have taken you 20 minutes to type out. If you'd have walked over and asked, then we could have had that conversation, it would have been a lot better. So culture is hard when suddenly the teams expand, and what we're doing to help fix that is to start having to write some stuff down. I'm halfway at the moment writing, you know how you've got style guides for languages? I'm writing a code review guide to try and help make sure that everybody knows how we want people to behave and we want it to be awesome. And also better onboarding process, but I don't deal with that as much. But that's also something where when someone first starts, make it clear to them from the outset how you roll, basically. Contractors, oops. They were needed because we were growing so fast. I have a lot of respect for people who can be dropped into a situation and just have to run with it and just go. It's a slightly different skill set, so all kudos and credit to them. However, they do bring their own problems. They come with their own terminology, so like agile, what does that mean to them? Methodologies, flavors in which the way they work, and I'm fortunate enough to work with Ruby and Rails, and I appreciate this is a Java conference. All people are opinionated, all developers, awesome, Rails especially. So when you get a small cluster of Rails contractors, they may have vastly different opinions to how you do stuff, to how you want to do it. This is hard. I have no real answer for you other than it's hard. You have to work on talking to them an awful lot. Recursive flapping. Yeah, happens. When you're a small team, you know what's going on, people make a decision, everyone's aware of it. As soon as you've got multiple teams, multiple people who are responsible for that, plus government, there's loads of people who want decisions and want the same decision and then change their mind and want more decisions, and someone else panics, and I coined the phrase recursive flapping. It happens. The trick is when you see it happening, make them a cup of tea, sit them down, and just take the time to go, right, let's just chill out for a moment and go, what's going on, and capture this decision so then we've made it, and then make sure that no more flapping. I make it sound so easy. It's not. This is going to be my main bugbear of Agile. Following the Scrum methodology, mostly. As most of you may or may not be aware, you've got features, bugs, chores, and spikes, which is cool, but this caused quite a lot of pain, especially for me and my team, and we had to be a bit flexible in our approach. I really feel like there's a missing category. I don't have very good words to explain this, so this is a bit of a Mazz theory, so bear with me. There's a thing, and it's not directly a feature, but it's not a bug, it's a something else. And it's something I really enjoyed from Michael's talk yesterday about redoing some bits of architecture. It doesn't really quite fit in to that prescriptive definition of what are you trying to do. And I've kind of come up with this phrase of technical capability. Our team, we've got beta architecture, and then they want go live functionality. It's like, right, well, I've got to do work 3 layers away from that. For example, God, there's so many. I'm going to Vulkan mind meld my entire year. Search, how we were doing the indexes. The user story was wanting search results to appear with given weightings, and that's over here, and we understand that as a feature. But before you can do that, the way that we were generating the indexes was not great and not very flexible, and then how you do re-indexing within production. So it's like, right, so we need to go and fix this thing over here, but it's not a story, it's not a bug, and it's certainly not a chore. What is it? It's a thing. So we're trying out this phrase, technical capability. It's hard. And I've had many an interesting discussion of how this is kind of linked to technical debt. So we all know that there's technical debt, and technical debt is more than just bugs. And in some ways, your entire code base could be technical debt. You're always striving to make it better. You've got like that perfect ideal over here, and then you've got reality here, and you've got what you knew at the time when you wrote it. So yeah, I'm trying it out, so I will let you guys know how that goes. Or if anyone has any other suggestions, if they've run into this, please do come and talk to me afterwards, because it's driving me crazy. Decisions. Decisions, speaking as a developer, I should be able to read your code. I should be able to understand why you've gone a particular route, what the thinking is behind that. It should make sense to me. Makes sense to me. And that's cool. And you've got extra tools like in your commit messages, it helps to give that extra information of intent. Also, awesome. We use a pivotal tracker, so you can see what stories have been worked on. So again, there's that ability to demonstrate that the decisions a product owner has made as the priority of things and the things we're going to work on. However, there's like this negative space of decisions where you go, we're not going to do that story. We're not going to code it that way. We're not going to completely throw away our search stuff and do it in a different language because yay, shiny. And where do they get captured? They don't. They just disappear because your team goes, oh, right, well, we've made this decision. Awesome. But when you've suddenly scaled and you've got other teams and they're having to share, it's a shared code base, it's really frustrating to suddenly see a pull request come in for a feature we knew we weren't going to do in an approach we also discussed and knew wasn't the right way to do it, and then this poor person has wasted their time, so they're feeling very frustrated. And we were like, shit, we failed because we didn't communicate to them that we'd already thought about it and we decided not to do that. So that's also really hard just from a developing level. And then I also felt that it got even harder levels above that. So government's huge, department's quite big, the project we're doing is pretty ambitious, and you've got various key stakeholders, product owners, program directors, and what have you. Some of the decisions that they make then filter down and affect us. But we don't, that information doesn't always get captured. So I might have known that because of the point I joined. Someone joined 6 months after me and then goes, hey, why is gov.uk HTTPS? Why is that? And we're all sitting there going, well, oh yeah, we know what it is. It was a decision made ages ago. I can't remember. And they go, oh, well, right. Well, I want to know why. And then you go, shit, now I've got to try and find the people and find the thing. Is it in an email? No, it was a conversation. Awesome. We should really have written that down so then people can find that information, because we're all about transparency and sharing, so there's no secret cabals. It's not like someone went into a room, made some decisions, and you're not allowed to know. So we're implementing this new kind of rule of thumb that if more than one person comes and asks you, hey, this thing, why was it done like that? Rather than just answering them, don't answer them in an email, but actually write it down on the wiki. Unfortunately, some of our senior people still love Google Docs, which is unfortunate. But hey, it captures it, so I'll let it slide for now. But yeah, decisions are hard. And if someone else suggested, well, why don't we write up every decision? And it's like, if we do that, we're going to spend half our time writing down all the things we've decided, and that's just dull and slow and takes us away from the really good problems we want to tackle. So I think, yeah, there's a hole there. Like, don't know. Tough one. Motivation. I know there's been quite a bit of talk at this conference, which was really interesting, about how developers don't get up to add business value. I agree, I don't jump out of bed to add business value. I generally don't jump out of bed. But when I do eventually get out of bed and I am at work and I have had coffee and you can communicate with me, what I like is puzzles, and I like working with people, and I like building stuff. It just so happens that the outcome of that is then building things for other people, and yay, that's good. What I find difficult, found difficult, and still do a little bit, with a set sprint, someone else has decided what stories are going in that sprint, and given the pace that we were working at, there was very little wiggle room to include anything else that was just out of curiosity or you wanted to try something out. You just had a shit ton of work to do in a tiny amount of time, so it became a little bit like you were just churning through work, and whether you were interested in it or not kind of fell by the wayside. This is hard because I think when you're working with a bunch of smart people, you've got to give them some room, because we are quite playful, and I'm not going to be very productive if I don't really care what it is that I'm working on, or I can do it, but if I have 2 sprints, I got stuck in what was affectionately known as redacted hell, because I can't say it out loud, redacted hell. And I picked up this story. It was sized as a 3. The other 2 guys weren't available, and I was like, oh, well, last story I did was a bit dull, but fair enough, this is fine, it's only small, yeah, cool, I'll do it for the team. 2 months later, I finally finished Redacted Hell, and we put it up on the whiteboard, and we've got a rubber stamp that says done and red ink. I stamped that card so much I think it fell to bits, and I was ready to throw myself out of a window, but our windows don't open, so I couldn't even do that. Really did my head in. So we've now got a tacit understanding for the next few sprints. Mazz gets to choose one of the slightly shinier stories because they don't want me to go insane. More insane. But this is hard. Like, how do you keep people motivated when someone else is always choosing what you're going to be working on? And when you're pairing and then the next story that comes up, we are trialing a gold star day. So our product owner is pretty awesome, and he's pleased with the amount of work that we've been doing, so he knows he can trust us. We're allowed 1 day a sprint to work on whatever, as long as it's still linked to work in some form or another. So it might be, at the moment, my next one is going to be looking at why the hell the publisher tests take over 5 minutes to run, because it just yawn. But it's never high enough priority, so I'm going to use my Gold Star Day to try and do that. We'll see how that goes, but it's a tough one, keeping smart people motivated. Risk. Government doesn't like risk. Bureaucracy doesn't like risk. Government bureaucracy. I'm just redacting myself, just give me a moment. It is a pain, but at its core, you've got to understand what it's actually trying to do. It's a little bit clumsy in the way that it does it, and yeah, anyway. What is it trying to do? It's trying to help you figure out what are the risks, what are the impact levels. It's essentially just trying to make sure you've thought about it, not waiting until after something is live and then going, oh shit, we should have done some security penetration testing. It's making you think about it up front, and that's good, but it can be a bit of a pain. So I'm just going to leave that there. People talk about failing fast, and I've discovered that when people say fail fast, it means different things to different people. Depending on who you're talking to, fail fast might mean knock together a prototype, stick it in front of someone, and then if it doesn't work, awesome, fail fast, reiterate on it, figure out what they do actually want, all good. Fail fast also means if your name is Mazz, and you're doing some work on the content API, the site is already live. This happened a month ago. Site is live, and you've been doing some work to do with redacted hell, and your test pass. Everyone's reviewed it. Everyone's happy. They're like, oh, the end's nearly in sight. Awesome. You merge it in, it's all still green and happy, good. You deploy it to staging, you check the website is still there, you check the content API is still there. Awesome, this is like, you're feeling really good about it. So you deploy to production. And then you sit there for 20 minutes and the tests are all green, smoky tests are all green, site's still there, and you're like, awesome! I deserve a coffee now because, man, that was hard. And you go out to get said coffee, and in the 20 minutes you were gone, when you come back, as soon as you walk through the door, someone goes, hey, Mazz, you know that deploy? You broke the website. You're just like, ugh! It nearly like crushed my coffee, full on the floor. I hate that feeling because I care. I hate it. Oh, it was awful. I was like, what do you mean? What? No, it was green. What? And we sat down, and I was really impressed because the other guys that were there, as soon as they noticed, the commit was reverted and deployed in like less than 5 minutes. It only took us longer because of caching. So people were still seeing some parts of the broken site, but after half an hour, it was all good again. So that to me was failing fast, that was recovering fast, and we did a mini retrospective on the incident afterwards. It wasn't a blame storm, it wasn't a trial, I didn't get fired. It was a genuine, what can we do to kind of help make this not happen again. So that was good. And I put in an extra smoky test for this one particular bit. So to me, fail fast means multiple things. And I actually came out of that incident retrospective going, you know what, that's actually really good. The fact that other people in the team are confident enough, we recovered from it really quickly, we're improving our tests all the time, this is awesome. And most people agreed. And then some senior management freaked out and, oh my God, you broke the website. It was like, yeah, but it was only for a few minutes and we recovered really quickly, so it's okay. Yeah, but you broke the website. What can we do to make sure this never happens again? It's like, right, so you remember all that continuous delivery, continue deployment, and all of that? And like, deliver. There's a kind of flip side to that. And it's called, sometimes, Mazz breaks your website. But it's cool, because they're all good about it now, so it's fine. Like I said, I haven't got fired. Oh, this is my favourite word on multidisciplinary teams. You can go and have a look at gov.uk is currently in the Design Museum being nominated for some kind of design award thing, which is awesome. We found that in sprints and with the features and the bugs and the chores, that doesn't always really work very well for our designers. And not just our designers, our content designers, or any of the multiple other people who are working at GDS. And we work with them. We're very much like they come and sit with us, we go and sit with them, have a bit of a chat, work on some stuff, show it to them. But their workflow isn't the same as this workflow. And I really want some suggestions to this because I haven't got a clue. Other than every time, like one of our designers will be a bit like, well, I don't really understand what you say at stand-up. And it's like, yeah, we're all talking what we worked on yesterday. The terminology doesn't make much sense to them, so they zone out. But then they also feel a bit excluded. And like they can't kind of estimate their design stuff as well, so they feel a bit left out. And we don't want that. So at the moment, we just make lots of effort to make them feel a part of our team, and that I do give a shit how their design is going, and I like looking at pictures, and I'm more than happy to like be like the rubber duck for design because I know nothing. I draw stick men, so you know, I'm a back-end developer. I don't get let near the front end of the site. But this is hard, and I don't know what the answer is. And I'm just being extra nice to them at the moment, which is cool, but again, doesn't really scale. You can't clone lots of me in other teams. That would be really frightening. Yeah, let's just pause on that thought for a moment. Terrifying. Now some of you are awake, imagining the horror. I know, I can tell. I've got a bright light in my eyes, but I can see some of you going, oh my God. And quite rightly. If anyone's seen Invader Zim, if not, you should watch it. It's an awesome cartoon. Then you'll be more scared. Which leads me on nicely to trust. I think that trust is really at the heart of agile and agile methodologies. And I think it's really important. I also think it's really hard. There are no rules because, people. People are complicated, people are variable, people are people, and you don't know what's happened to them in their lives, previous jobs, perceptions, any of that. So building up trust, it takes time, it takes context, it takes effort, which is good, and I think it's worth it. But it's really, really hard. And I think a lot of the times, in what I've seen, we are very fortunate at GDS in that we have really good people across the entire department. Like, it's amazing. I've never worked anywhere where there is just good people everywhere. I've worked at places where there are good people and there are still some shit people, but there's just good people everywhere, which means that you can go and feel safe to go and talk to them, to go and talk to a policy person who has amazing knowledge and is far more eloquent and better with words than I am, and they're patient and they're nice and they're friendly, and it's awesome, and you build up that trust thing, and then knowing that you've got the backing of the senior management. And you know, I'm not completely naive. I've been working in the tech industry for over 10 years. I'm talking about trust, and I work in government. And I actually mean it. The department, like the senior civil servant in our department, I can go and grab him for a cup of coffee and go and have a chat. And granted, he's busy, so it might take a little while to schedule it, but I can do that. And I trust that he will listen to me, and he trusts me as a developer to make generally sensible decisions and not break shit, and provide ultimately what we're trying to do of the adding business value of building stuff, building good stuff, building good open stuff at like a teeny tiny fraction of how much money is currently being spent by government on government tech stuff, which I'm not going to go into because there's plenty of information on the Intertrons about it. But people drive me crazy. They really do. I'm just going to make that point. People drive me fucking crazy. And it drives me that level of crazy because especially developers, and I'm one of them so I can say this, they see like bettering your knowledge, bettering your coding practices and capabilities and abilities and patterns and coming to conferences. They're like, yes, this is really good and this is making me a better developer. And it's like, yes, it is. The whole people trust thing is just as important. And yet not enough people put enough investment or time into being a better person. Because if they're a better person, the people they're working with will then trust them more. And if they trust them more, they'll actually have a better time of it at work. So this does drive me nuts. So what can I do about it? One is I'm here and I'm talking about it and I'm trying to share more and also leading by example. I am tech lead for the platform team, so I am taking it upon myself to encourage good behaviour, to point out improvements privately when I see the opposite, because a lot of the time it's unintentional, because people. So I'm making an effort, and I think that Agile says this well, and it's like valuing your people and, conversations, and that's all really good, but people just seem to think it magically happens. That if you go, oh, well, it's all going to be okay because we're just getting this developer to go and have this conversation with this other person. And actually, it's really frustrating for the dev because the other person is using different language or isn't appreciating what the developer's trying to do. And there's nothing worse than having someone sat across the table going, surely, obviously, it's simply just a case of doing this and it'll be 5 minutes. And it'll turn around my laptop. There you go then. Because if it is any of those things, then surely, obviously, just you could do it. And that kind of language drives me nuts. And it's part education, but also people. I'm going to stop ranting now. Sorry. People are also awesome most of the time. Yeah, I've slightly overrun into this slide. Core values, GDS, we have this. This is one of the meeting areas, and we've got loads of stuff plastered all over the walls, and there's lots of really inspiring words, and it's really cool. And it's not just decoration, though. It's not just Mike Bracken saying, yes, we're going to trust, it's the three things, trust, users, and delivery, and then he disappears and we never see him again, and we work in a different way. This core value of trust and putting your users first and wanting to deliver good working software for them to help them isn't just something we say and don't really mean. It's something we all live. And that takes a while for people to understand. I have a greater respect now. I will be honest, I've been working in the private sector for 10 years, first time I've ever worked in the public sector. Never thought I would, but hey, here I am. People who are civil servants, like proper civil servants, I now have a greater understanding for just how much that being a servant to the public, how much that means to them, that is a real core value. And we have that at GDS, which is awesome. It is really hard to try and communicate that to other government departments that we're now working with. Because what we were doing is really ambitious, and everyone thought we'd fail. We didn't, yes. Which is great, but also now slightly victims of our own success of like going, hey, you fixed this thing. Now all this other broken government stuff, can you fix that too? And as I mentioned earlier, we can't clone me and everybody else, so trying to help give them the skills and give them all this information so they can do it for themselves, and that's really cool. But there's like these words where we say value and trust and user, and people sitting on the other side of the table go, right, yes, value, trust, user, go away, and then it ends up being like an overtly prescriptive process of how exactly we're going to have trust. We're going to have meetings about how we're going to trust one another and all this kind of stuff, and it's just a bit silly. But it's really hard, and I don't think Agile talks enough about how this is hard, and that's why I think it fails in some places. I think the more we talk about it, the better it will be. So in closing, why I came here and sharing all these pain points, and like I said, I'm not just moaning, is I am, for every one of these that I go, this is awful, I'm also working with others to try and find ways around it and trying them out and doing retrospectives on it and iterating on it as well. But for me, as a developer, I code in the open. So all the code we do, or the vast majority of code we do at GDS, is on GitHub. So it's public. So I get that we're all Java people, but hey, still, you could go have a look on GitHub and look at some Ruby and some other stuff. Don't do it right now. But we code in the open, and that's really a core value to me as a developer, is like open source software, sharing what you're doing, helping the next lot generations of coders coming behind me, helping them to learn. And at GDS, we also publish lots of stuff. So there's the blog, there's the design principles, and we've just done the service manual as well. So we're being really open and transparent, which is awesome. I think that isn't quite enough, and that we need to share processes and practices too, and talk about when things don't go right, problems, because I think that's some of the greatest places for the learnings to occur. So yeah, be a bit more courageous. Thank you. I talk hella fast, so I've got a few minutes, but I also am aware it's before lunchtime, so you're also probably all really hungry, and thank you for not falling asleep. But does anyone have a question? Hello. Yeah. Yeah. So what drove the change ratio of number of developers we had to number of others, whereby cross-disciplinary team, I'm talking policy people, content designers, delivery managers, product owners, and lots of other people as well. What drove that was the sheer enormity of doing gov.uk as a single domain for government website, taking DirectGov and BusinessLink, needed all these people who had that knowledge. So that's why we needed lots more people like that. So that drove that. How did it change our practices? We had to do a bit of education because they'd not worked in an agile way before. But that's cool as well because we have a culture of sharing and learning. So that was all good. Yeah, just kind of being a bit more thoughtful about why we were doing what we were doing, I think, as well, to help teach them. Yes, hello.
I'm probably going to disagree with you about your answer to the last question. You said there were all these like other people.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, when agile fails is when everyone becomes specialist. You've got a specialist database person, coder, business analyst, everything.
Yeah.
But and part of the problem is that we, the programmers, have let that happen by not becoming multidisciplinary. So we should take it upon ourselves to be the business analyst and we should just start calling ourselves programmer analysts again.
I think we should discuss this afterwards. That's not something I can easily answer. And thank you for your point, but let's talk about this afterwards and I'll let people go and get lunch. Is there any other questions? And then you can all run away. Yes? Yeah. Now I would, yeah. I wouldn't have said it before, but now definitely. I think it's part of like the motivation of like the challenges that you get to tackle are really interesting. And there's the room where we are succeeding, where people thought we wouldn't, we are. So there are a lot more projects and opportunities to make that happen as well. So yes, I would certainly look into it. Cool, thank you very much. You can all run away and have food now. Thank you.